Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a neatly yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hello, I hope you are doing well. Happy New Year, because this is my first episode of 2020. I just came back from a few weeks of holiday in Romania with my partner, with my boyfriend, and my dog honk now when they snore. Unbelievable. I don't know if you heard that. That was a really strange noise. I just came back from holiday. Then I went and had the weekend in Paris for a professional project, which was fun but exhausting. So you know that when I have lipstick on is when I'm exhausted and I'm trying to overly compensate by looking all dolled up, whereas I'm actually like kind of, help me, I'm dying. But yeah, I'm going to recover slowly from troublesome sleep, but I'm all right, I'm all fine. I hope you had lovely holidays and that you're starting the year with hope and excitement, I think. Hope especially. But yeah, I have a few things to share with you for this episode. Not a lot, because what happens is that I took only one project with me on the holidays, which I worked on rather slowly, and then I'm currently doing the test knit that I'm not showing to you because I want to make a project focus video, yeah, so I have just a few quick little projects. I have a pattern release to show you, and then I will talk about a pretty yarn that I just got as a gift from me to me over the holidays. So yeah, I'm gonna jump right in because I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I'm a little bit lost, and the thing is, so I'm currently home living with my parents, and my dad has a new work schedule, which is really exciting because he always had anyone who had relatives or themselves, I did it too for a few years, who worked overnight, know how difficult it can be sometimes. And for his entire career, my dad has been waking up at 3 a.m. But now he basically changed a few things, and he's now working in the afternoons. So I'm a little bit unsure. I think he's at the gym now. I don't know what he's doing. Has a new life now, and so I'm a bit confused as to whether or not I'm alone at home and I can record without feeling incredibly awkward. But so I'm gonna jump right in and get on with what I have to say. You can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead and do that if anything doesn't interest you. I also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media, patterns on Ravelry, and my Patreon page. Yay! So I'm gonna start right away with a pattern release that I just put up on Ravelry, and this is a really happy pattern, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Really happy to start the year with this one. This is the fourth garment in my little pink collection. So I've been releasing a textured garment with samples all in dusty pink for the past 4 months. And so now this is the... Oh no, I'm running out of battery. Oh god. I'm gonna keep talking as I gather my external battery. I have been releasing the patterns in October, and now with January we are coming into the last one, and this is a cardigan. So I haven't done a lot of cardigan patterns, and I feel that this is going to change because I believe I did address it before. I found cardigans a little bit more free in terms of constructions, because you can really play around with the different sections of the cardigan and shapes and stuff without it being restricted by the fact that it has to drop naturally on a body. Well, it has to drop, but what I mean is that it's not closed, so that's a little bit easier. And yeah, I have lots of cardigan ideas now, so maybe we're going to see a few more cardigans rather than sweaters this year. We'll see. But yeah, so as usual for this collection, I have a little illustration to share with you, a drawing that was made by Charlene, which is a French illustrator. And so here is the last one that she made for this garment collection. And yeah, as you can see, I kind of wanted this drawing to be a little bit more festive, because I find that the design can really be worn in an array of different ways. I like to wear it over dresses, and it's kind of a little bit more classy, like a work outfit, or a more dancey, festive one. And at the same time, it can really be this cozy, almost outer garment that you can do. And so yeah, I am really happy with this really dancey and flowy illustration that she made. And yeah, so this is Servion, and now that you have seen it, I am going to show you the actual live knitted sample. So yay! So the construction of this garment is extremely simple. I did talk a lot about it as I was knitting on it, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much. But basically, you start with the back, you cast on all the stitches for the back, and you knit downwards without any short row shaping to accommodate for the stitch. And this is kind of the theme with this construction, is that it gives you so much freedom to put up any motif, any texture, whatever you like, and it's really an easy one for that, both to design and to knit. It allowed me to do a few things that works across all sizes regardless of the amount of stitches. And so you knit down up till the armhole depth that you want, or the one that's in the pattern. Then you pick up the stitches for the fronts, and you can do either one at a time or both. You pick up the stitches without leaving any space for the neck, so that basically the fronts are gonna fall rather close to one another, and you knit them downwards until you reach the same height as you did for the back. Then you put everything back into the same needle, and then you knit back and forth for the body until desired length. And it's finished with 2x2 ribbing. And basically, I did talk about it with quite in long manner, but basically with this stitch motif, which I will talk about more in a little bit, I needed to add structure, because the motif, the way it falls, it doesn't drag too much, it doesn't change a lot when blocking, but the way it drapes and just sort of flows, I fear that if I didn't put structure in it, if I didn't break it up, it would look a bit shapeless. So what I did is that I split the cardigan into different parts, and you have fake seams running along the sides, and you have a center spine as well. Let me take it off. And I really think that makes the cardigan hold better and look really put together. Once you finish the body, you pick up for the sleeves, and the sleeves are knitted flat as well, because the stitch pattern is really easier to knit flat. It is perfectly possible to knit it in a round if you choose to do so. It's fairly instinctive on how you could do that. Personally, I found it was more fiddly, and I didn't want it to take too much time on top of what it was already taken to do the stitch motif. So I knitted the sleeves flat, and this allowed me to then mattress seam them together and add even more strength, because since the sleeves are really wide and balloony, there's no shaping in them, there's only a quick decrease towards the end to have like a slightly tapered cuff, but like as you see, it's like still very flowy. It felt like it would have been like a whole roundish thing, and so I think the seam really helps it stick together. And so once you've done that, you pick up stitches all along the fronts and you do a 9-cord bind off, which is really simple and I think fits quite well with the motif. It just makes this little side bubble all along the neckline. So yeah, this is the cardigan. And like I said, the construction is really simple, really easy to make adjustments to. I have one of my testers, for example. So if you choose, so it has some ease, but if you choose to make a smaller size than the one that is recommended for you, meaning that it will be more fitted over the shoulders and maybe on the arms, but you still want the front to fall close to one another, because you don't want it to spread apart if your bust size has that consequence. Basically, if you choose a smaller size and your bust doesn't allow the front to stay put, then you can very simply make a little gusset here, which is what one of my tester did, and it worked really fine for her. She just increased under the arm with like you only have to add repeats of 4 stitches, because that is the multiple of the stitch motif, and it worked really well for her. And so yeah, top down as well, so really easy to adjust length to accommodate whichever style you want. I love to wear mine over a dress, but also over jeans, and so since I wear high-waisted pants most of the time, that is really convenient for me, but you can adjust it to however you like. And yeah, the stitch motif itself is really easy and intuitive. I made a video in the pattern which explains not only how to do it, but also how to read your knitting, so that basically you don't even have to look at the pattern, and you can see once the columns are formed just what you need to do, and you know. Like I said, it's only 4 stitches repeat, 2 rows, so really easy to get into your head and just make it a really smooth TV knit. It does take longer than stockinette, obviously. I did say when I showed it to you when I was making it, I did say that I wanted to time myself, and I did, and it does take me about the same time as making ribbing or seed or moss stitch, you know, any sort of stitches that require to manipulate something. It does take me about the same time, given that I am pretty slow with ribbing, but I think it is absolutely worth it. It's nothing incredible like it's definitely not as long as cable or lace, and yeah, I just absolutely love how it looks. Really, really beautiful. And I love that it looks really good in an array of different yarns. So I knitted mine out of Autumn and Indigo Classic Sport, which I think is really, really fitting for this garment. This was a collaboration with her. She kindly gave me a big discount because I was going to get her yarn, and she gave me a big discount so that we can sort of make up mini collaboration together. And this is her Classic Sport beige, which is a merino, pure merino, and it just shows the stitch beautifully and it drapes so well. And this is the Rosewood colorway, which is another shade of dusty pink, which is really, really nice. I do really like it. But yeah, there is something I do want to say regarding yarn and yarn usage, is that it looks really interesting in many different types of yarn. The thing is, we noticed during testing that the amount of yarn used varied quite greatly, and so I ended up figuring out what was happening. And basically any yarn that tends to fall nicely, which has quite lengthy aspects to it, even though it doesn't move at all. Mine didn't move at all during blocking. The stitch itself does not drop. But if you knit it with merino, especially a superwash one, any worsted spun yarn, alpaca, things that tend to drape and be heavier, on the heavier side and on the smoother side especially, the stitch is gonna fall a bit more lengthwise. And so you're gonna get raw gauge pretty well. If you want to measure the raw gauge, because maybe it's a little bit tricky too, is that you see here, so you see here there's a little balls, so 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 balls here between my fingers, and so one of these little balls is 2 rows. So that's how you can count raw gauge here, measure it. And so any fiber that falls is gonna get a raw gauge that is closer to mine. So you're gonna use less yarn. And what happened is that the testers who were using more rustic fibers or worsted woolen spun rustic fibers, even acrylic, they tend to be denser, and so they were shorter in raw gauge, and it was quite hard to achieve the right raw gauge with that. And so necessarily you used more yarn because you need more to make the same length. And so the thing is, which was quite convenient, is that if you do use a rustic yarn, for example, there's someone who used a BFL Masson blend, they tend to bloom more, and so you're gonna get the right gauge if you pick a fingering weight. So in case you plan on using a rustic yarn, I would recommend going for a fingering weight that you know gets bloomed and gets quite chunky for a fingering weight, because you're gonna achieve the right stitch gauge, and basically if you use fingering you're gonna need to buy less skeins or balls because you're gonna have more meterage. So that is sort of the thing, that if you use merino, superwash, alpaca, basically drapey, heavier yarn, you're gonna use a little bit less yarn and you can go for a sport pretty safely. If you use a rustic yarn that blooms, things that are like really round and plump type of yarn, and they're gonna be a bit denser, you can go for a fingering weight and you're gonna use a little bit more yarn, but the way I wrote the yarn estimates now, the recommendations, they're pretty safe now that I've compiled the information from my testers. So yeah, that is just the thing that you want to think about if you are planning on using a certain yarn that you would like to see it in, because it really does look beautiful in an array of different yarns. It looks absolutely gorgeous in acrylic. I don't know what it is, but it looks really, really good in acrylic blends or even pure acrylic yarns that some of my testers used. It sort of makes it more like a coat, like an outer garment. It's really, really a lovely stitch to work with in many different fibers. So yeah, so I think I've said everything about the garment. And yeah, I hope you like it. I am really excited to start the year with this one. If you do, there is 15% off until Sunday, just as to help those who do want to buy the pattern now and we need a little discount. I've also made it so that if you get the whole collection, so the whole 4 garments, which are Kloska, Cherrywood, and Clocada, and so now Servion, if you buy 3 of them, or if you have bought 3 of them in the past, the 4th one should be free. So I've never done that before. I hope I set it up correctly. If I didn't, you can write to me and yell at me. But normally, if you have the patterns in your library, or if you buy them now to complete the collection, the 4th one will be free. So yeah, I think that's it. And if you only like this one, like I said, there's the 15% off with the code Servion, and everything will be written in the description down below. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think about it. I am really, really excited. And I absolutely love both the construction, like I said, and I'm going to, I have plenty of ideas with this construction method, because I just know that I'm going to be able to do everything that I want with cables, and that it's going to work well for like all the sizes that I want to make. And yeah, and the stitch stuff as well. I kind of want to try and use it for a hat, because I'm thinking, like, I have a Corriedale yarn that is really, really plump, and I kind of want to play around gauge and see if I can get a texture that would be fitted for a hat, like to be thick and like, yeah, it's just, I want to play around with it because I found that the stitch is absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I think it looks really good. And that's all I had to say about it. I think I have said everything. Yeah. And so I'm going to move on into my work in progress, and I wanted to show you the project I've been taken with me on holiday. So this is a yarn I got 2 years ago, and I remember because I talked about it on the podcast, and when I got it I said, oh yeah, this is going to be a design plan for spring 2019. So here we are. And yeah, this is some yarn from Featherfin, which is a German indie dyer who I found it's really interesting because she dyes peculiar colorway. She has a small selection of colors that she dyes, but they're really her, like it's a proper universe on its own, and I really like it. And so this is just a standard merino and nylon, I believe, a sock base basically, and this is cornflower blue, and I really like this color. It's like it's a harsh blue, but I really like it. And so I've had this yarn for a while, and I finally decided to start making the design I wanted to make for it. It's gonna be a spring-like jumper, and so this is what I've been doing over the holidays. So it's a raglan, and it's a deep loose raglan, so it gives a lot of ease at the upper arm and a little bit of ease as well on the body. And basically, yeah, it's a closed neck, and then you start on the raglan, which has these little cabley details. So yeah, basically it's like little twists with a ridge of pearls surrounded by twisted stitches. So you have that deep raglan, and then on the body the motif lines continues. I made mine rather cropped until you reach the hem, and then the motif merges into it, and you have the same little cables and twisted ribbing, and basically they alternate, and it makes this really lovely hem. And I found it really funny because I didn't realize it as I was planning the design and writing it up, but when I knitted it I realized it echoes pretty well my first ever design garment, which was the Tolosa sweater, in the sense that it's a raglan that has some looseness on it, more like a blouse type, and then you have a hem with a texture detail that cinches it in, and it's sort of blouse, makes that blouse effect. It's a little bit retro, and yeah, I found it funny how it kind of is similar to that, even though it's not the same raglan at all, because I did improve slightly, just slightly, since I made Tolosa. But yeah, it's not the same construction, but it's in the spirit. I found it funny that it reminded me of that. So it's kind of like I've done a circle. But I really like this hem. Really simple to do, really nice and fun. And yeah, I've debated making the sleeves really loose and balloony, but in the end I didn't want to do that. So oh my god, I'm losing stitches. Ugh. Come back here. In the end I decided to taper them slightly, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see because she's barely halfway, but yeah, basically it starts with a lot of ease at the upper arm, which is going to be super comfy, and then it's sort of going to taper slowly, and the cuff is going to be a rather long cuff with a repeat of a similar texture. So that is it for that sweater. Then I picked up for the neckline, and I did a 2x1 rib, which I made so that it matched the raglan. Starts here, and I did that on the 31st while I was already drinking, and I never drink, but and since I stand very well alcohol, I never get hangover, I'm pretty resistant to it, I think. Whenever I do get the drink that I like, which is a martini, Yeah, I had like 2 or 3 martinis, and I was trying to calculate how to make it full right. And even though, like I said, like I never get hangover or completely dizzy or stuff, but I still was like, I don't think it is the condition that you want if you're gonna have to make math, basically. But I still managed to do it, so hopefully I didn't grade it yet. I usually grade my patterns like from the start, but this one I just had time to write it for the size that I was going to make the sample in, and now I'm going to grade it, and I will do it without the martini so that I can make the necklines match in all sizes. So yeah, that was just a little storytelling of how I hope it makes you want to get the pattern, that you know that I was drinking when I did the math for it. No, but yeah, it worked out really well, and I tried it on after I finished the neckline, and I love how it fits. It's really, really, I believe, my type of shape for a sweater. So yeah, I'm going to finish it quite slowly. I don't think I'm gonna call for testers just right away, because I want to make some other patterns first, collaborations that need to be started and hopefully come out before, but I still want to make that make sure that this gets in for the spring. So I have no clue on how to name it, like no idea, not the slightest idea. I have a code name which is Blue. I have code names for my patterns. When they don't have a name yet, I use like a code name. It's like I'm like the military. And this is just Blue, because I really don't have any idea what to do for the name of this pattern. But yeah, we'll see how it evolves, and I really like it so far, and it was a really enjoyable holiday knit. And yeah, I have a second work in progress that I want to share with you, and this is one that I took with me because, like I said, so I came back from Romania, and then I had a little work weekend. I had to go to Paris, so I needed to take some knitting with me, and I decided to make fingerless gloves in black yarn on wooden DPNs because you had to go in the plane. Who does that? Like, everyone else was with their stockinette, and I was like making my fingers on my fingerless mitt. Like, what a crazy, ridiculous person. Anyway, these are for Marius, these are for my boyfriend, because I don't know if you remember, I did make him fingerless mittens a couple of years ago. Before him, he lost them, and it was quite funny because when we were driving around in Romania, I saw that he was like driving with the huge convertible mittens I made him a few months ago, like on the wheel. I was like, what are you doing? And yeah, he told me he lost the mittens, the fingerless ones, sadly. But they're really convenient for him because he gets cold super easily, and it's just really convenient even at work and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna make you a new pair. And so the pattern I'm using as a reference is the Fingerless Gloves for Dan pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And when I made the first pair, I did take notes on my projects on how I did it, but something wasn't right, and so I think I must have forgotten to write something because I couldn't do the same thing here. So I kind of improvised, so I really hope they're gonna fit as well. They should be, because they're like a bit too big for me, which is what this should be for my boyfriend. But yeah, black yarn on top of everything. I am using Arwetta by Filcolana, which is their sock yarn. Really, really soft sock yarn. If you're looking for a commercial sock yarn that is super soft, a merino nylon blend, this is the softest I know. I have some to make a cowl. You can make sweaters with it, doubling it with their mohair. Absolutely lovely. And this is their just black. And yeah, basically I made a long rib, a little bit of stockinette, there's a thumb gusset. You separate, you put the same stitches on hold, you knit more here until the upper hand. You do the little pinky first on its own, and then you knit a little bit more for the 3 fingers here, and then you do each of the 3 fingers separately. And it looks a bit ugly because since I don't want it to be too small, like I bound off really loosely, so it makes like this little rounded little folds at the top, which I think looks absolutely ridiculous, but yeah, my boyfriend doesn't mind it. It just wants it to be warm and soft, which it definitely is, and hopefully it will fit him. I remember the first ones when I made them, when I blocked them, they were a bit tight, especially on the pinky, and so what I did to block them and stretch them is that I put a nail polish bottle or a lipstick in it that was a bit too big so that it would stretch the finger out. And so I had in each finger a nail polish or lipstick bottle or tube just to stretch the thing. It was ridiculous. I did make them slightly bigger this time, even though like I told you, I'm not sure because I wasn't able to do exactly what I wrote on my Ravelry project page, so I'm just improvising, I guess, but hopefully they're all good. And I started the second one, and I just started the thumb gusset on the second one. And so yeah, this is gonna be a quick knit. It doesn't use a lot of yarn, and yeah, so wooden DPNs. I do like knitting on DPNs. It's a nice change, but I don't like wooden needles. I took them because plain, and I wanted to make sure I could pass it through security. Even though I realized that I forgot to put my face wash cream in the liquid thing. So I have a little bag where I put all my liquids, you know, airport security, in the 100mm thing. And I realized this morning when I was putting everything back, was like, oh, did I forget my face wash, which is a liquid, and it wasn't in the bag. And I'm like, oh no, I forgot it at the hotel. And no, actually it was in my luggage, but it wasn't in the liquid little plastic bag. So sorry, airport security. But yeah, I never had any problems with DPNs in the plane. I never tried to bring metal needles, which probably saved me a lot of trouble, because I would be able to bring a better fitted project than black fingerless gloves on DPNs for social gatherings. But yeah, gloves are actually one of the first projects I ever knitted. I don't know why. I don't know what got me, but when I was in high school, I believe, I relearned to knit, and a couple of weeks later I was like, I'm gonna make myself a pair of gloves, and I did it, and they looked fine. I didn't finish them, like I had one completed, and I think the other one misses 2 fingers. They're still here somewhere, I need to find them, but why did I do that? And yeah, I don't think gloves are especially difficult. They're a bit fiddly, but I know like it's kind of a scary project, but I don't think they're really difficult. It's just that I don't have not a lot of interest in making them. Of course the trend is all about mittens now and everything. This is what is in fashion, but I don't know, even though I found like colorwork gloves to be absolutely beautiful, I have no interest in making gloves for some reason. Like I know some people don't like making socks or shawls even. I think for me maybe it's gloves that I'm making those for my boyfriend because I know they're convenient and he likes them, but like I would never want to design a glove, I think. Well, never say never, but I mean right now I feel like that. So yeah, I'm going to finish them and send it off to him as soon as possible, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And that is it for my works in progress. So this is all the knitting I have to show you. I did want to show yarn because I gifted myself this. So L'Endésil, which is a French online shop, I saw a few months ago that she became a retailer for Hillesvag, which is the Norwegian meal of this really nice yarn that everyone is raving about, and I wanted to get some. And it's been a while now that I wanted to do a huge cozy full-on cabled jumper, like a really loose one, and with lots of cables and texture. And I wanted to do that in a yarn that would make it a bit rustic looking. I didn't want a crisp definition of the cable. I wanted it to be a bit blurred and soft. And I've browsed Ravelry project, and of course, obviously, this is like golden standard for colorwork yarn. I found that the textured and cable project in this yarn, so I got the DK one, which is Tinde. I found that the textured project on Ravelry looked really good, so I decided to get a few skeins of this. This is the natural shade, so I think it's undyed, and it's gonna be like this really cozy, nice, traditional looking, but I think I'm gonna, yeah, I just want to put all the cables I like, so it's gonna look a bit weird maybe, but yeah, maybe for next winter, I hope. Or it's gonna do like the blue sweater, and I'm saying this now, and maybe in 2022 we'll see this yarn again. And so yeah, I got a few skeins, and I was 40 cents away from free shipping. So what do? I get another color because I thought if I have just a little bit left over, I can make a colorwork mittens or hats or something. So I got the navy blue one, which is absolutely a lovely color. I really like it. Now I don't know why it's yellow at the moment in here. Why, sun? But it's more of a deep blue, and I thought they looked good together. So in case I have leftover, I'll make that with that. And this is how you pay 10 euros extra just because you don't want to pay 5 euros shipping. They're really affordable. Yarn even important for French market. So my father is coming home now, so I'm gonna leave you. I will just quickly say thank you so much for being here in 2020, and yeah, I hope you have a lovely start of the year, and I will see you very soon in at the beginning of February, because I will have some more things to share with you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you soon. Bye!